Okay, we'd like to welcome on our next guest. He is currently a defensive GA for Mississippi State. We have Tre Bell. Trey, how we doing today, my man?
Doing great, man. How y'all doing today?
Can't complain over here. You guys getting things going over there, or what's going on?
Yeah, man. So we got the guys working out. So it feels really good to be back in the office and kind of back in the swing of things. Kind of been away for a while. It's good to just see everybody back in the office and working.
Is that? I mean, are there still kind of certain protocols, or like what I heard, like pods or something like that, or is it kind of? Are you guys able to work out normal like it's 10 years ago?
Um, yes and no. So you definitely still have to maintain social distancing with 6 feet apart, and wearing your mask and everything. But we still doing our drill work how we would do our drill work, just a little
Yeah.
bit distance apart. That's all.
Nice. Okay, cool. I wasn't sure. I wasn't really sure how that works, like
Mm-hmm.
how teams are going about that, because it's like, dude, there's only one way to actually play the game, so I'm not sure like how you do it 6 feet apart. It'd be a weird football game.
Yeah. So thankfully, right now we're just working out. Haven't gotten into any team stuff, but got to make sure these guys are in shape. Prayerfully we do have a season, and they got to be willing to go and willing to compete and win.
So let's dive right into it. You've played at a couple schools. You were at Vanderbilt, transferred to UConn. You were at Eastern Kentucky as a GA, made your way over to Mississippi State. I'm curious to know, are you all for the cowbells? Do you love it, or is it at the point where it's annoying?
I love it, man. I really do. It's something that here at Mississippi State that you just kind of embrace. You know for a fact that those fans are yelling for you. It's really interesting to see the dynamic of that. I mean, it literally starts from the first fan that comes into the stadium. You just hear those cowbells immediately, and if it doesn't get to your juices flowing, then I don't know, something's wrong with you.
Yeah. If you don't like the cowbells, you can get out of here. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
So,
basically,
yeah.
basically.
Oh, that's great. And is it hard to communicate as a coach? What type of stuff do you guys do to alleviate that?
I mean, for us as coaches, normally when you hear those cowbells, that means you're doing something the right way. You've either called a pick or you've made a stop, a really big play. So, I think it's easy, but I think that's when you're training throughout the week and your preparation um, with signals and just kind of guys being on the same page. You know what I mean? That's when that has to really kick in. Because if you don't have that, you'll see false starts and you'll see offsides and things like that. And that's what we want. We want that on our end.
Yeah. So you said preparation throughout the week. Do you guys actually have simulated cowbells? Do you actually have, like, say 5,000 students out there just whacking cowbells, or how's that work?
And I think that's another crazy thing because we do not. There is no like my first time hearing it. I mean I was already kind of just and wow, just observing the whole atmosphere. Just and I've played at Mississippi State before, so I kind of knew what to expect.
Yeah.
But we actually don't prepare for the cowbells. That's just
Yeah.
something that we have a lot of guys from Mississippi and from the area that do understand what Mississippi State is about, and they understand that we need more cowbells.
Yeah. Yeah. I love it.
Need more cowbell. I don't know if you've seen that Saturday Night Live skit.
Yeah, well,
Oh man. So what's at one aspect of Mississippi State's defense that's going to get the people going this year?
I think this year we're really going to focus on turning the ball over. We really want to enforce getting the ball back to Mike Leach on offense. We really want to score points. And we want to score on defense. So that's something that you're definitely going to see us uh, try to implement throughout the season. And with the scoring, you're going to see us celebrating and celebrating as a team. But we definitely our main emphasis this year is getting the ball back to Coach Leach on offense.
There's one addition to the team that I want to bring up,
Mm-hmm.
Mr. Coach Mr. Coach Phelps, the cooking barbecue man machine. Have you
Oh,
actually had some of his food?
that's great that you just say that. Me and him were just talking about me coming over and getting some food from
Like a
him
slow brisket or something, right?
yeah, like his magnificent cooking that I see
Yeah.
every night.
Yeah.
I
Follow him on
can't.
social media. He's doing like chicken butt. He's doing everything. It's awesome.
He's definitely enjoying himself in the South,
Yeah.
no
Awesome.
doubt.
Tell him I
Well,
say hi, please, though.
I will. I definitely will
Yeah.
tell him in the
Yeah.
morning.
Yeah.
I love that. Yeah. So, like I mentioned earlier, Trey played at Vanderbilt. He transferred over to UConn, so obviously was part of the transfer portal, which has become a pretty big hot topic in college football. So, Trey, I was wondering if you could maybe let the viewers know something that we might not understand about the transfer portal.
I think the transfer portal has kind of become something, with the age of social media and Twitter and everything, Bleacher Report. You almost turn into a celebrity kind of in a sense, when your name hits the portal, you get so many phone calls and so many people trying to reach out, and I think people just don't understand, whatever is going on with that individual. They're making a decision for what's best for them. I mean, some guys may be doing because of competition and not playing as much as they like, and some people may have to get closer to their family. That's a valid reason, that I would think. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, I think people kind of lack empathy in that area. And you see so much backlash on the kids that do transfer. And that's just something that you really hate to see. This is the 18 to 23-year-old kid, man. I mean, with the goal of going to the NFL, and all they want to do is increase that opportunity for what they feel would be the best opportunity for themselves to reach that goal.
Could you imagine if the year penalty, or however you want to call it, the year waiting period that a transfer has to wait and before they're eligible? Do you think coaches should have that same, or at least head coaches should have that same limitation? It's like a rhetorical question, because it's kind of ridiculous, isn't it? It's like, why penalize the kids? So, like, what do you think about that 1 year waiting period?
I mean, I think there's pros and there's cons to it. Obviously, we haven't found all the entities within, the transfer portal and playing right away and not playing right away. But I think that's something that you would really, moving forward, we would really have to, kind of tighten up the gray area. You want to leave no gray area and, actually have a set of rules for guys that are leaving and their eligibility to play immediately.
Yeah. It's like, I feel like each one is like a unique situation, or it can be, but I couldn't agree with you more of like having, it's not one size fits all here. So it's like, you can't penalize somebody for doing something right for himself or his family. It's not something where it's, like you said, it can be driven in many different ways, but the intention there is right. And hopefully we can get there.
Yeah. One day we'll get there.
Yep.
So obviously you had that year off while you were waiting to play at UConn from that transfer, and you probably were able to learn a lot and still be a part of practice and grow maybe mentally or physically and really learn the landscape while at UConn. Is there anything that you were able to adopt as a player that you're now, pushing on to your players from a coaching perspective, maybe that are trying to transfer or new transfers that are coming to Mississippi State?
Well, I know for me, I was raised by two amazing parents. So, something they always taught me was to just have a great mindset with everything. So I think my mindset going into transferring to UConn was already high. My number one goal was to demand through my actions respect from my teammates. And that be through workouts, be how I conduct myself in study hall, in the cafeteria. I really, everything that I did was very calculated at UConn, and it really paid off, because I was a captain my senior year
Congratulations.
of college. Thank you.
Yeah, that's great, Trey.
Yeah, it's something that I really earned, but I think I set that standard the day that I got there. You know what I mean?
You were a captain that year, that day one, you were a captain. You just hadn't been awarded it yet.
Exactly. And that was something that, I won unanimously. Like, everybody kind of just already knew that, I was going to be the guy. So,
Trey.
Exactly. That's actually how the day went. But I just, throughout my time there and throughout that year of sitting out, I was able to, develop my leadership qualities, and just being there for the guys that were over there with me. Because, if you're on a scout team, you're either a young guy that just doesn't have that experience yet and needs to develop their play, or you could be an older guy that could just be, not handling their business on and off the field. And that's why I developed a lot of relationships with a lot of younger guys on the team. And I think the older guys kind of just watched me from afar. And I kind of gave myself double duty. I knew I was going to have my scout team meetings, but I also wanted to know what was going on with the game plan. So, and I mean, shout out to Coach Diaco, Bob Diaco, Josh Reardon, and Anthony Poindexter, because they opened the door for me to grow my confidence in those areas. And, they had confidence in me that I was going to do the right thing, talking to, the younger guys. And if I had to, talk to the older guys, being somebody coming from the SEC and coming from starting games in the SEC. I think with those guys believing in me, it helped me kind of push that confidence into other guys as well as myself.
Yeah, you essentially became a coach out there, weren't you?
Yep, that's just a glorified coach.
No, I mean, better more than a glorified. I mean, when you can actually have the pads on doing it, I mean, there's no better way. You're truly leading by example, but also demanding it. I mean, a coach, as you know now, you can't be out there with them. So you have to now you're you're sitting behind the desk, hopefully eating healthy and staying in shape, not become one of those.
Yeah. No, you got that right. You got that right. Now, you definitely look for players to have that kind of mindset. I just kind of was fortunate and blessed enough to have people instill that into me early.
Sure.
So let's talk Mississippi State and recruiting. Tre, out of high school, you had about 25 offers. You landed in the SEC. You were previously committed to Florida. You moved your commitment over to Vanderbilt, and that's where you ended up. I'm curious to know, what are some things that you dislike in the recruitment process that you steer clear of now as a recruiter from a coaching standpoint?
Just the importance of effective communication. You don't want to lie to anybody. You want to be honest throughout the whole process on both ends. I had the opportunity to work under Terrell Buckley, who's a NFL Hall of Fame player. He great cornerback at Florida State. Somebody that lived it. He played it. He just very genuine person. He reminded me of my dad. And just the chance to just watch him, the way he treated the players was no different than the way he treated the recruits, when they came on campus. And, he did a great job with having a plan for everybody that he coached, all the way to the walk-ons. I mean, he was pretty hard on the walk-ons as well, just as hard as he would be on his starting corner. And something that I saw from him was his communication with the parents, because a 18 to 23-year-old kid, when you're in college, you're not going back to tell your parents everything. You're gonna leave some things out, and that's where he kind of came in, and I never seen that before, so that was very encouraging to see, and something that I might try to implement, in my coaching style. And I think it just it eliminates any room for doubt. Everybody's honest throughout the room, and I've seen that a lot. When you get those interviews and people calling you and trying to turn you different ways to different schools, you don't really know what to think. You kind of just enjoying it. It becomes a lot of pressure. At the time, you are a big fish. Walking around your town, and some national recruits walking around the country. So just being honest, and each coach just having a plan for the guys that you're recruiting. And just letting them know, this is where I see you. I think that's something that's huge, and it goes a long way. I mean, because guys get lied to throughout the recruiting process. They get there, they get to college, and that stuff really has a huge impact on your mental health. You start looking at things different as you start growing.
You can't trust people, right?
Yeah, your trust dwindles. Slowly. You really have to have that person in your life just shooting it to you straight. You don't have your parents there. You don't have that support system there, so you need a new support system.
And how do you recognize that as a coach? How do you know that somebody needs somebody else to empathize with and be there to listen or talk through something that's going on?
I think, it's kind of easy to tell. I think we've all been there in college. Every day is not going to be a great day. And not a lot of people do a really good job of showing, that they feel good and everything, but a lot of people don't do a good job of it. It's my job to kind of spot that, pull you to the side and kind of just be that whisper in your ear, just giving you the confidence and the motivation to just keep going. Whatever you're going through, it's gonna be okay. I'm somebody that has been through a lot of ups in the college profession, throughout my college career, and I've seen some lows. You know what I mean? So, I think that's where the trust grows between you and that individual.
Yeah, you look at you have to look at the person, really just look at the person first. And that's gonna be hard sometimes in football because it's at that level, at that highest level that you're coaching at, winning is so important, right? It's the whole emphasis.
It's everything.
It's everything. But what we lose track of even more importantly is truly the person, right? It's the player, the human being that is that player. And when they're not, there, even if they may be performing very well, but if they're not there mentally, I mean, you're really doing a disservice for that person. So it's really refreshing and enlightening to know that you as a person of influence amongst these young men have their best interests in mind. So thank you. Keep it up.
No problem. Will do.
Yeah, and moving on to that, and I, listening to your aunt's Good Morning Gwinnett podcast, so you can give her a shout out here in a second. But you talked about when you were at Vanderbilt in your freshman year with Coach Franklin. He talked about his core values, having a positive attitude, willing to sacrifice for the greater good, competing in everything that you do. How do you take those things that you learned as a player that you clearly bought into and flip the script and influence your players to do the same?
Well, I think, and shout out to my aunt, at Noise Media Network, Audrey Bell Kearney. Just a credit to James Franklin, a phenomenal head coach, obviously one of the best in college coaching today. He makes it, a standard that you understand, not just know, the core values. You have to understand them, and everything that comes with it, So, and I think starting off with positive attitude, I think that's something that really hits home because if you think about it, every day that you wake up, if you can understand, like I have to change my attitude, I have to think positively, that's gonna affect, your work ethic. You're gonna be willing to go in there and bust your tail in that weight room. You're gonna apply that same work ethic off the field. You're gonna apply that same work ethic within the community. And then that's when the competition comes in. You're working hard. It's a team sport, so we're all competing to get better. And you must compete in everything you do. If you want to be successful in life, I think that's one of the values that you really have to dive in deep into. You have to compete. I mean, we're all competing. You want to be the best podcaster.
That's what I'm talking about. That's what I'm talking about. Juicing it up. Let's go.
I want to be one of the best coaches of all time. You know what I mean? Yep. So we're all competing. And once you compete within that setting, now it comes back to the team at the end of the day. Football is the ultimate team sport. You must be willing to sacrifice in everything that you do. If you go out Saturday night after a big win, you go out and things happen and you get arrested or you find some kind of
trouble.
Anything.
Any type of trouble. Trouble after midnight. Nothing good after midnight.
Nothing happens good after midnight. That always rings true. If that happens to you Saturday night, you can't play the next week versus, a big time opponent. That affects the team. And it might be something that, people use all the time, but I think that rings true. Like you really have to understand that, and that's something that Coach Franklin did a great job with us, and obviously that he's still doing with his team at Penn State.
All right, Trey, really quick for you. Repeat them. What are the core values?
Positive attitude, great work ethic, compete in everything you do, must be willing to sacrifice.
All right, just testing it.
Super easy. Super easy.
When you have it that memorized, you always say it so quickly.
Yeah, because that's
ownership.
Because when you say that with Coach Franklin, you have to say it with your chest. He would always call a random person in the middle of a random team meeting, and Tre Bell, core values, and you can't look. The board was always on the left, and you can't look. So and to go positive attitude, like sit down. Like you automatically.
Oh, the guys got off easy.
Yeah, oh, yeah,
Not like any
no.
a little bit of
Yeah,
extra conditioning at the end of practice.
No, but he'll let you know. He'll let you
yeah.
know that
Yeah.
you need to get on your stuff.
Yeah, learn it, be a part of it.
Yeah.
Live it.
Yeah, live it. There you go.
And just going back to what you said, positivity is infectious. I mean,
It
you're going
is.
through your summer workouts as an example, and everybody, it's like, "Ugh, I don't want to be working out, running gassers, lifting, doing whatever it is." But like you said, you bring that competition in and make it a positive competition.
Mm-hmm.
That's going to get people going. That's going to get the excitement and have people happy to be there, as opposed to, dreading that 6 a.m. workout.
Yeah, definitely got to flip your mindset when it comes to that.
For sure. Yeah. So, moving on, another thing that I saw in the podcast, I not saw, listened in the podcast was about your experience training for the combine and your pro day and trying to make it to the NFL, and bringing back what we talked about, mental health and depression and how that can impact athletes. How do you use your experience now as a coach with guys that are, as an example, at Mississippi State, training for the combine and ensuring that, hey, football's not the only avenue for you?
I mean, that's this part of coaching is where I really try to dive in deep, and that's why I try to get to know the player, get to know the person that I'm coaching. You know what I mean? I always think back to those times, and it was just such a time of uncertainty for me. Just kind of a roller coaster of a career. Go starting to playing half the game to back starting again. Now you kind of just seeing the ups and the downs, and that part I don't want anybody that I'm in contact with to feel like they are lonely. I'm somebody that does come from a really good background, a really good support system. I have my mother, I have my father, I got siblings, I got my aunt. I mean, I have so many different people that I can talk to. I got close friends on the team, but within that time, I did feel very uncertain, unsure, and depressed at that time. I just training just with one goal in mind. I know, and that's where I apply this experience, because I know what each of these individuals are working towards. So I understand that. And I'm gonna hold you to that standard, but I'm also going to let you grow. I'm gonna want to hear from you. I need to know, how do you feel? And I'm not a therapist or anything like that, but I try to aim to be a decent human being.
Yeah, you don't have to be a therapist to ask somebody how they're feeling,
exactly,
right?
Exactly. So, I think that's where I kind of embrace my role as a coach and as a leader and as a mentor for these guys, man. Because I feel like I said, I had those different relationships and people in my life, yet I still just did not feel comfortable enough to express them at the time.
How'd you, I guess, your identity, your whole entire what it sounds like, and I went through this too. Your whole entire identity is through the sport of playing football and being cheered on and being loved or hated. But everything about your life is that. And then when that's not there anymore, you lose part of your identity. So how'd you get through that? Who helped you, or kind of what was your mental space of getting through that?
I think for that, my mother, I mean, she helped me so much. My mother and my father, just because, I'm somebody that growing up, I was always really good at basketball, really good at football. I go into St. Peter's Prep, big time high school in New Jersey, and I'm starting as a sophomore, reach all these accolades, what I mean? And, kind of just had to hide and finally start to see some adversity in my life, and it's just tough to deal with. But, getting to the point where I don't make the NFL, which is something that I've literally everything that I've done on and off the field has been geared towards, my mindset and everything. Not everybody makes the NFL. My mother did a great job of kind of just lecturing me on that and just helping me grow as a man, and, just understand, like, listen, I know that you were trying to, uphold the standard and this image for yourself, but you can be great in other things. You know, that coming from her and my father kind of also backing her up on that, you know, that was just really huge. And just knowing that somebody was proud of me still.
Yeah. Yeah. No, that's awesome. That's really
You know what I
amazing.
mean?
Thanks for sharing. Yeah.
So I think that's really kind of what helped me get over that and just overcome that fear. You know, because I was really kind of just scared to show my face. You know, because I'm just I
Yeah.
felt
There's
like
a
I was.
yeah, like you let people down or something, or,
Yeah,
you know, and it's,
I definitely had that feeling, and I let a lot of people down. But you know, my parents made me know. They instilled in me like, no, like you have done some great things throughout your life, and you have so much room to grow and do more great things and affect other people now.
yeah.
Sure. And with your players now, and you touched on a little bit ago about asking them how they're feeling and also letting them know the different avenues that exist outside of football. Have you, and you don't have to get into super specifics with the players, but have you seen, your players opening up and being okay answering, coach, I'm not feeling too well today. Like my mind's
Mm-hmm.
not there. Have you seen a lot of good response from the guys?
Yeah, I mean, I've seen it at Mississippi State, and I've seen it at Eastern Kentucky. I just, you know, my dad always told me, you know, when you're on the field, everything is about business. You know, you have a goal, you have a job to do, and you know, in coaching, you have to hold the kids to that job. You know what I mean? But off the field, you still have to be able to shoot the breeze with them. You know, you still have to
For
be able
sure. Yeah.
to and you know the head coach that I kind of learned this from, Mark Elder. He was Eastern Kentucky's head coach.
Yep.
You have to be able to love those guys up. You know, I think that helps build trust. Just to have that open door policy that you can talk to me whatever. You know, I'm young. I'm 25 years old, so I think the guys do feel a little bit more comfortable talking to me, and you know, and that's where we kind of just relate on just a human level. You know, I'm not coach at this time. I'm just Tre Bell. Just talk to me. You know, I think once you open those doors like that, and they understand, you know, the difference of, you know, I'm Coach Bell, but you know, when we're talking about you and issues you have going on, you know, I'm Tre Bell. You know what I mean? Like you can
Yeah.
talk to me. You know, and
That's great.
I've also had that as a player. One of my mentors, Rod Chance, who's the University of Oregon cornerback coach. You know, I was going through a tough time at Vanderbilt, and I think he noticed that, and he was a GA at the time. You know what I mean? And he kind of just let me know, hey, listen, you're doing your thing, keep going.
Yeah.
And just something small like that just kept me going.
Mm-hmm.
And it's something that, you know, I kind of use to this day. You know, I'm going to hold you to a high standard as a coach, but I want you to know that you can talk to me. And then that's more important than anything.
What a mindset. What a mindset to have. And it is super important. I mean, you can't be afraid to let somebody know how you feel, negatively or positively. And it's okay to tell somebody you love them or you really appreciate them or the simplest things that make somebody's day that people might not understand, especially in a group of football players in a locker room. You know, telling Adam that, hey, I appreciate you. I appreciate our friendship. That can just
Appreciate you
go
too, Steve.
so.
Thanks, man.
Thanks, brother.
You see that in those great teams though. Like,
Yep.
I had the opportunity to go against LSU this year. You just see the camaraderie, and you can tell that they all trust each other.
Yeah.
You know, and we talked about it earlier in the interview. You know, football is the ultimate team sport. You have to be able to trust each person is going to do their job. You know, from the head coach all the way down to the janitor working in the meeting rooms. You know what I mean? So I think that's something that, you know, that's where you kind of start building that trust. I think you see that theme often.
Yeah. Yeah, I remember reading something about Nick Saban, how he makes everybody's job feel like it's the most important job. If you are the one that's cutting up film and there's a 5 second, break in between clips, 5 seconds, that adds up and that takes away from the team. It's a top-down thing.
Well, I mean, again, I can't say anything poorly about it because obviously the man's one of the most successful, coaches, college coaches ever. But it's just like, it's funny. That's just a very polite way of saying that, it makes everyone feel like they have the most important job. That's also meaning like you get on everyone's ass is what it means. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But that's a good thing. I mean, that's a winning mentality. I mean, it doesn't happen by accident. So
it's
just
the Kobe Bryant,
Mamba
Mamba mentality.
Yeah.
Just be the
Michael
best at all
Jordan.
times.
Yeah. Let's
Exactly.
go.
So I do want to jump forward. You mentioned your dad a few times, and he's coached for 25 years, back in your hometown.
Mm-hmm.
I want to ask, what's the commonality that you see between your coaching style and his?
Uh, I mean, honestly, that dude holds you to the highest standard. He makes you feel like you are going to be the best, and he's gonna hold you to that standard that you are the best. You know what I mean? He's very firm. He's very stern, very old school in those type of ways, and in his discipline. But I think that's he pulls out the greatness in all of his players. He's had some really great teams throughout his time coaching, and a lot of those guys. Some guys came really talented with God-given ability. Some guys did not. That he took the time to just develop, and I noticed that as a young age. Something for me, my mother is a teacher, and both my parents are teachers. So, I think they both have also like showed me through multiple examples of them just relating to the people that they work with, whether
Yeah.
it's colleagues, whether it's the people that they're teaching, and just understanding that everybody learns different. My mother is definitely we talk about, asking like how you feel. My mother is a big corporate of that.
Yeah.
She definitely is the person that asks, how are you feeling? But she is also just as stern. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? There's no nonsense with her, but she is gonna hold you to that standard, but she also wants to know, like each person isn't different. Like that's something that she always tries to harp on me, when I'm talking to my guys.
Yeah, it's interesting. It's like discipline and being firm, I guess, or stern doesn't equate to like being insensitive.
Yeah,
Those
it
those
does
aren't,
not.
those aren't, it's something very different. I think if you truly care for somebody, that's when you are stern or you are disciplined. It's like, I guess the old saying was like, when a coach stops coaching me, that's when it's scary, because then I know, he doesn't care about me. So it's, that's something I think players have to keep in mind. What are your thoughts?
Oh no, I agree with that 1,000%. If a coach stops talking to you, you definitely need to, kind of see what's going on and be aware of that, because you want to have somebody on you. You
Yeah.
want somebody to hold you to a high standard. You know
Yep.
what I mean? And that's something that I've seen my father do time after time after time after time. He's always developed these great players and these great teams. And I mean, it's harder on them as you could even possibly imagine.
I feel
And
like you're still downplaying it.
oh yeah, and just me being his son, I kind of knew, I know I kind of want to have my grades up. I want to make that play, because if I don't make that play, I'm gonna have to hear about it, and
Yeah.
that's something that, also, I'm coaching my guys in Mississippi State, but I have a little brother who's 14 years old who is going through that teenage stage. You know what I mean? But he told me he wants to be the best cornerback in the nation for the 2025 class. So
Yeah.
I'm like, listen, this is the standard that we're gonna hold you to. You
Yep.
know what I mean? So you just keep grinding, and I'm gonna let you know, when you're doing well and when you're not doing well.
Yeah.
And that's just something, I kind of treat my guys like my little brothers.
Oh,
They
they
know
kind of
that
are, right? Yeah.
yeah, pretty much. They pretty much are my little brothers. So, just doing that, and just letting them know that, hey, listen, you're doing a good job. But hey, on that rep right there, you
Good
didn't
enough.
stick that
Yeah.
hard enough. You
Mhm.
didn't come out of that break fast enough.
Yeah. Yeah.
And just letting them see that their strengths and their weaknesses,
Yeah.
and holding them accountable to that.
Yeah, it's interesting you say that, because there are many different coaching styles and there's many different learning styles, but it's one where when you coach with empathy, it's like teaching the person how to coach themselves. Like, you're kind of, instead of just tearing them a new one, you're saying, hey, that's not good enough, right?
Now,
Like, you see
yeah.
that, and when you watch that, that's not good enough. Like, it in your stomach. I know you do.
Mm-hmm. And there's a time and a place for that, because I think that needs to be done at certain times as well, because that creates a sense of urgency.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Once you get into somebody, you know, let them really kind of have it.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? That'll
Keep that wild card in you. Yeah. Cause it's like, I've always heard this and I always thought it was true. It's like you know, when you live by a train track, after a while, you stop hearing the trains go by. It's like, if you're just constantly yelling at people, there's like, oh, the coach is, you know, whatever again.
Yeah, coach
But
is
if you're that cool, like, you know, collected person, normal or caring person, all of a sudden you do go and you get off. It's like,
exactly.
Oh boy. Well,
Exactly.
yep. So I love
Exactly.
it. Yep.
So
Use it as a tool.
That's something that I try to find a balance between my mother and my father as far as the teaching / coaching styles go.
Yeah. New age. I love it.
Do you have I just from our conversation, I'm not imagining you freaking out on somebody. Have you had some blow ups as a coach yet or no?
Oh yes, I have. At Eastern Kentucky, I had a scout team guy. I mean, dude,
that's how all these stories start, by the way.
Yeah, because I think that's where Coach Kevin Koger, you know, kind of taught me, and who's at the Green Bay Packers now, I work with at East Kentucky. He kind of taught me, you know, coach, being a grad assistant coach and scout team is very similar to, you know, having your own position, having your own room. So back to the story, I had a scout team guy. I mean, love the kid, does everything. You know, I asked him 1,000 miles per hour. He's just one of those, you know, really try hard guys that just gives his best effort all the time. We were going into a week going against Bowling Green, pretty decent offense at the time. They like to go on 2 a lot. So I'm just like, all right, listen, guys, we have to go on 2. You know, Coach Madison is his coordinator. He wants us to go on 2. Listen, I'm going to let you know this play is on 2. So we get out there. Practice is going really well. And I'm just like, all right, good. You know, you kind of get a little comfortable, and that's where I kind of made my mistake. You know, I didn't tell the kid that, you know, this play is on 2. I kind of just assumed, you know, listen, everybody knows that this is on 2. I mean, the guy goes set hit. I mean, he literally takes off. The defensive coordinator, Kurt Maddox, looks at me and just gives it to me, and I kind of just lose it on the kid, you know. And I think that was kind of like my first introduction, going from a player to a coach. That really kind of showed me, you know, what it's like to be in the college coaching profession.
To the player too, he's just like, guys, it's one play, move on. But to the coach, it's like, that was the most important practice play we had today. You know?
It really is. I mean, you try to emphasize it so many times, and you know, it's. I mean, that's where you just gotta keep your cool, you know. And it was good though, because for the rest of that season, I mean, that dude he was a great kid, so he kind of just, hey, coach, man, my bad, I understand now, you know. And I didn't see too much more problems out of him, but I mean, I really let him have it. And a lot of people that know me, you never really seen me turn into that, but I think I turned into my dad in that scenario.
Everybody's like, Tre? Coach Tre?
Exactly. But that's it. Like, I mean, you're not going to go through. I mean, even like the great Tony Dungy probably had his moments. You know what I mean? Exactly. The guy was so calm and cool. You know, it's just such an emotional sport. So, I mean, I think it's good to show that you have that. I mean, it's being vulnerable at times if you don't do it all the time to your players and to others, to knowing how important, how much this matters to you. You know?
No doubt. That was a fun time. That's something that I definitely laugh about now.
So
hopefully the kid does too, right?
Yeah. After you, you know, took a step back, practice over, you got home, were you like, man, that felt good? Or were you like, oh, man, I feel bad for, you know, flipping out on him?
No, I didn't feel bad at all because coach didn't feel bad when he was yelling at me. So right. I did not feel bad. And I think it was a great lesson for him and myself. And that's something that, you know, being a grad assistant now, you know, I'm going up there running scout team. I always keep that in my mind. Never assume. You know what I mean?
Sure.
So that I really just that's kind of like I'm always on edge, if so to say, you know, when I'm out there because of things like that.
I've heard and some of the coaches I've worked with, some of the great ones, they talk about if you really get in, no one disagrees that you don't have to rip into somebody, or I guess what you would say if you want to be polite is hold them to a higher standard. Right. And maybe you hold them to a higher standard for like 30 seconds out there, maybe like a minute. And that depending on the person can hit them. Some people take that and they're fine. They don't compartment, or they don't take it personally. They understand it. They're being coached hard. Some people do take it. It's like I've always heard is, never let them leave the facility without them like knowing that what kind of happened when you're maybe in a better state of mind. And I don't know. I mean, again, I don't know how realistic that is at all times, but I think the idea behind it is important. I don't know. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, that's something that my mother talks to me about a lot. And it's really just, sometimes it's not what you say, it's how you say it,
Mm-hmm.
And I think, you lose it on that kid, but you got to come back and be like, hey, listen, man, we're trying to get something accomplished. And, if you can't do that, then I'll just find somebody else to replace it and do it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I think that's the standard that, you see a lot.
It's cutthroat, but I mean, that's actually it's not everyone gets what they want. It's just not how it works.
It's not. And, for the betterment of the team, I need you to go on 2 and not on 1.
Sure. But I think it's important to note, like just talking and reflecting on our earlier conversation, just having that balance, knowing when it's the right time to freak out, when it's not, and understanding, okay, maybe I had a conversation with that kid earlier today and maybe he wasn't in the best mind state or wasn't feeling, mentally stable. So it's understanding those circumstances and knowing, okay, I did go pretty hard on him. I need to make sure he's in a good spot before, he goes home for the night.
Definitely. I agree.
So, Trey, I got maybe one more question. Is that good with you?
Yeah.
Webbs, you got anything specific you want to touch on?
No, I love this conversation what we're talking about.
Yeah.
I think
mine's related to Cogs, and I don't know if it's him or not, but the most influential person that in coaching, or an influential advice that person gave you that you really carry with yourself today as a coach.
That's tough. Just take advantage of the opportunity. You never know when that opportunity is going to come. So, you have to be prepared for that time and that situation, because you never know what's going to come from that. And that's something that I'm kind of learning now, as a young coach in the profession. You never know what conversation will spark, the brain of another person that just might just be listening, just kind of hearing passing. You know what I mean? I have this conversation with you guys here tonight, and this in 10 years might be, something that people go back and look on and like, man, like, Coach Bell really, he kind of really lives by these core values, or he really lives, through these, taking advantage of his opportunity, any opportunity given to me. So, I
appreciate that. Yeah.
I appreciate you guys, giving me the opportunity to talk here tonight with you.
Yeah, no, it's again, very appreciative of you sharing, being vulnerable with us, giving us the opportunity to interview you and to learn your story. I think it's our listeners will enjoy it. And again, wish you nothing but the best of luck. Hopefully we get this season, but if not, that's outside of your control, but you can control your positive attitude, which you're going to bring every day.
That's
Trey, I love it.
Great work ethic, competing everything you do, must be willing to sacrifice every time.
Let's go.
Hey, yeah, Trey, can't tell you enough, man. This was awesome. You have such a great mindset, such a great mentality for coaching and bettering everybody that you surround yourself with. So, again, appreciate your time, man.
No problem. Thank you. I appreciate the opportunity to come on here and share my stories and my different experiences.
Give me your any of your social media handles for players, recruits, or anybody can find you.
Okay, so anybody listening on Twitter, you can find me at Coach_T Bell. Instagram is going to be Coach_Bees, BEEZ. I think I said that right. Two E's. Yeah, Coach Bees. Yep,
love it.
That's me.
So, all right, guys. Well, I hope everybody has a great night. Stay safe and enjoy it.
Yep. Thanks, Trey.
Have a good night.
Talk to you guys. Thanks. See ya.
It's more than a feeling. No, it's something I believe in. You light up the night. Yeah, you light up the night. You got the sun in your eyes.